Hey, it's Cat Lover. I've been trying to cram in as many Sonic games I haven't played yet, and it's going. One of the games I played was Sonic Dream Team, not to be associated with Mario and Luigi Dream Team. I don't usually play mobile games, but I had a free trial and it's Sonic, so I played it on my iPad. I wasn't expecting to have too much fun with it, but I surprisingly did. Sure, it wasn't the best Sonic game I've ever played, but I got a lot more out of it than I expected, and that's what I want to talk about today, so let's dive in. Sonic Dream Team, despite being decent, has some limitations because it's a mobile game. A lot of the levels are mission-based, some being fetch quests while others are time-based. I enjoy that there is a clear objective for these levels, as I can actually explore more of it instead of just running through it. Even so, it can feel very repetitive at times. Not inherently a terrible thing, but it can get quite old. To start off, I want to mention how the characters play. There are 6 playable characters to choose from, 2 characters holding a specific ability. Speed and agility for Sonic and Amy, flight for Cream and Tails, and gliding for Knuckles and Rouge. It reminds me a lot of Sonic Adventure 2, as the different playstyles open up more things for the player to do. Sonic and Amy are really good for flying through levels and overall speed running, so they had my favorite playstyle. There are lines of rings located on the map that these two can access and dash across, like a pseudo Grand Row. Like I said, pretty fun stuff. Cream and Tails weren't too bad to play as either, but I preferred to not be rushed while using abilities, so it wasn't my favorite. There are rings located in the air that give you more of a flying gauge, but I had some trouble judging my distance, so I'd often go right past it. Lastly, Knuckles and Rouge. These two fall pretty fast while gliding, so fast it caught me off guard when I first unlocked them. There are red walls you can stick to and climb, though the climbing is pretty slow. Also not my favorite playstyle, but I definitely see the vision here. Each character is able to boost, so you won't ever have to worry about going too slow while on the ground. Boost shards are plentiful, though it only takes a moment to refill the gauge, so you probably won't need it anyway. The game feels pretty good to control. The homing attacks, the dashing, the jumping, everything feels super snappy. Kinda sad that I'm actually surprised this game controlled well. Trust me, I got massive whiplash when I went straight from playing Lost World to this. When given a choice, I spend most of my time playing as Amy since she's a speed-based character and because she's a girl. Everything moves as it should, and it takes about 2 seconds to get used to the controls. Personally, when landing, the characters feel a little slippery, but maybe I'm just heavy-handed, who knows. Off note, this is a mobile game, but am I the only one who had an issue with the loading times, or the game crashing occasionally? Just me? Makes sense. TLDR, Dream Team is how a Sonic game should feel to play. So let's segue into the level design. I only mentioned in passing that the levels and their objectives are repetitive, but I really want to elaborate on that now. There are several zones with multiple acts in between, just like any other Sonic game, with multiple objectives for each. The first objective for levels is just to get through it. Not hard at all, and you get to play at your own pace. Then there are objectives like collecting a Dream Orb, which is exactly like getting to the end of the level, but you need to make sure to grab the Dream Orb. Dream Orbs are imperative to unlocking other zones and furthering the story, though Dream Orbs can be obtained in other ways. Collecting multiple Dream Shards in a level is a way to do this, though I'm not too big of a fan of fetch quests. Even so, I really had to use each playstyle and a tiny bit of my brain for those levels, so I actually liked them, most of the time. There are even timed levels where you must make it to a dream portal before time runs out. These levels can have you cutting it pretty close, so I fell in love with them immediately. Collecting keys scattered about a level also counts as an objective, but it's usually not the main focus, and honestly, you'll get them pretty quickly. Last and least, reaching checkpoint portals before time completely runs out. I did not like these objectives at all, especially on levels with the occasional unorthodox camera angles. Like I said before, my perception of how things are placed isn't too great, so I would run past these portals and have to speed back. Skill issue, sure, but my least favorite for sure. To speak more broadly, the levels feel a lot less killing in this game, especially compared to Lost World. Dying will usually be your fault, but I can't account for glitches, so take that with a grain of salt. Levels are suited well for going fast, and obstacles are placed to throw you off but not screw you over completely. Most things are totally reactable, so I didn't feel like I needed to walk on eggshells. It really does seem like the game is consistent in how it presents itself, and I couldn't be happier about that. Sure, this is like the bare minimum, but cut me some slack. As said before, only certain characters could enter certain areas or be used for certain levels. Usually I wouldn't like having my hand forced like this, but I never felt too annoyed or taken aback by it, so I let it slide. The base game is more or less very easy, and completing the objectives is important if you want to proceed, though you don't need to do every single one. Post-game, there's a mode called Sweet Dreams. This is where things begin to get a bit tricky, but again, this is just bonus content. Same with the Tails challenges, though I'm not sure who's doing that every day. The levels repeat some old gimmicks like Scrambled Shores or Dream Factory, but it's still unique anyhow. Each level looks absolutely gorgeous, and I know we're in the year 2024, but I'm just glad the game is good to look at. So I guess you can say I like the levels, or at least mildly enjoyed them. So let's talk about the bosses next. To be honest, there's not much to say here. The bosses are creative and I do like their concepts, but that's all I have to say about them. You have to use specific characters for bosses, as you have to utilize different abilities each time. For example, this boss covers the entire stage in lava, where you'll have to fly as either Cream or Tails to stay out of it. I like this, but it was pretty bare bones, so it could have been better. Every boss is kinda underwhelming, but I like the design of this one. It's so creepy that it made me kinda forget I'm playing a normal boss and not the final one. The only boss I thought was really interesting though was the final one against Eggman. The boss requires you to play around characters' playstyles, and each of them get their own spotlight. This boss wasn't hard, but it could be intense at certain points, like when you're playing as Amy. Again, even the final boss felt underwhelming, and in a game where there are only a few bosses, it's a bit disappointing. Still, I wouldn't say any of them are bad since I enjoyed them. So, let's move on to the story. As for a story, Dream Team doesn't really have much of one. I mean, it's a mobile game. But there are some things woven into the story that I really like. The story starts off with Cream being kidnapped. Again. Like, how did Eggman even capture her again? You'd think she'd learn how to destroy everyone after our killing fest in Sonic Advance 2, but whatever. Eggman is trying to manipulate a program meant to make dreams come true, using Cream as a front for his twisted desires. Ariam, the guardian of the program, halts it, but Eggman is still able to mess with it enough to warrant the help of Sonic and Go. Blah blah blah, get the dream orbs, help Ariam, stop Eggman from making his dream a reality, game over. Again, pretty bare bones, but it'd only take you a few hours to beat this game anyway, so it makes sense. What I really like were the elements in the story. I remember saying in a previous video that I wish Sonic characters were emotive again, and I got my wish. Animated cutscenes are beyond beautiful, especially the intro cutscene. It made me super happy and kinda greedy for more animated content. Rewatching Mania Adventures can only do so much to satisfy me. The voice acting was mostly good since I didn't cringe so much hearing it. Sonic, Amy, and Tails sound older, or at the very least less exaggerated. Knuckles, he's always great. I don't know about Rouge's or Cream's voices though. The latter I'm a little more tolerant of, but I really didn't like Rouge's voice at all. I did like her openly flirting with Knuckles though. The characters interact realistically and most importantly, effectively. Some people may not like how simplistic the story is, but I feel like it's fair. Anyway, let's wrap it up. Dream Team was actually a decent game, so it's a shame it's only mobile and on Apple devices right now. It may not have been the strongest title, far from it, but not because it's bad. I'd say it could have been longer, but again, it's a mobile game and I played it for free, so I can't really say too much. For what it's worth, I personally think it was worth the experience. Barely any frustration or teeth grinding, and only the occasional annoyances, so basically how I feel about every game. So to sum it up, I think Sonic fans who are able should give it a try. You won't be blown away, but at least you won't be sorely disappointed either. Dream Team wasn't really a game I expected to like, so the fact that I did is pretty shocking. I wasn't gonna let Lost World sour my experience of playing other 3D titles, so I'm glad I kept an open mind and my feelings neutral. Maybe the bare minimum for a game, but it's Sonic we're talking about, so I'm just glad I could have fun. At the time of writing the script, I was getting ready to play Sonic Forces, so I'll show you on screen how that's going. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'm Cat Lover, it's been real. Peace!